discussion about, and then obviously I'll ask you questions as we move along. All right. Just go back. Thanks. We're just moving back and forth between the transcripts. Okay. Well, all right. So we're gonna do some the just like a short lesson. They're always quite short lessons, but that's what I'm saying. I encourage more discussions and experiences, and just in general, if there isn't anything about the particular topic, or we've run out of the particular topic in terms of conversation, we can always have more conversation around just radio. Um, and anything you want to speak about in that. But outside broadcast, what is an outside broadcast? Can you tell me? Do you know what an OB is? Have you ever been to one before?
No, I don't have. I have no idea. Is it like when you broadcasting outside, like you go to your malls and
Yes, yes.
oh, okay.
And at events and stuff like that. So have you
Yeah,
have you been to concerts or like I say, events, sometimes even sports events. There's like you said, there's malls, there's at casinos, like obviously these kind of like big like traffic places, like heavy traffic places. So have you ever witnessed one? Have you seen
yeah,
one
I
before?
have.
Okay. And was it good? Was it not? Who was it? Who was it?
Actually, I attended an exhibition last
Okay.
month.
That's
There
cool.
were
Tell me.
different broadcasters there,
No, tell
and
me
because I
about it.
work
Yeah.
for DSTV, DSTV was also there.
Right,
Yeah,
right, 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 right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And did you pay attention to them at all? I mean, do you feel like, because I mean, if there was a couple of them, they were obviously quite far apart, just so that they weren't interrupting one another or like, clashing over one another. Anyone that you recognized or anything that you felt was done in particular, like that was pretty cool, because outside broadcasts are, um, the main purpose is to create awareness, you understand, and be able to connect with the community in a way that you can't do on radio. You understand? You got to give them something that you can touch, feel, you can see whether you're excited to, whether you are a fan or not, or whatever it may be. But also, it also is quite intriguing in the sense that, like as anyone, I'm saying to you, but mostly for you as a media practitioner, you're working at DSTV, you understand you are in the media industry, like it's more interesting to see how it works. You understand what they're busy with and how kind of like it's sort of like what happens in the background, like when they go to music, but not
Yeah.
really, because you can't really see the full. I'm saying like what's happening back at the station. So what's controlling obviously the outside broadcast within studio and stuff like that. Um, did you find that it was riveting at all? So do you think they did a good job at all or not? What was
Um,
going on?
yeah, they did because they were able to communicate with the outside world because not only exhibitors were there, it was also visitors, and they were interviewing everyone. So
Okay, and that's pretty cool. Okay, but I mean, again, we want to always be able to sit on the side of criticism, or in critique, should I say? I think criticism always has a negative connotation to it. I think people just take it in the wrong way. But to crit that, and be able to see, for example, like outside broadcasting can also become very messy as well. So
yes,
the main, if you had to think of the main function of an outside broadcast, like for the listener back home, it would be for us to bring that experience to them. Do you understand? Not that they're
yeah,
going to start getting to their car and rush over because something's happening there and you're there and whatever it is. They won't do that, but they will enjoy like that atmosphere that you're creating, and you definitely have to once again take advantage of that atmosphere. So yes, talking to people, but not just kind of like, there's also, if you go to like a Monte Casino, if you go to whatever it is, I don't really like Carnival City or whatever it is, and we don't have a lot of casinos up here, but that I'm aware of, Gold Reef City. Um, you'll have a commentator in a way, like a floor commentator. So you'll notice that there's always like this. It's very old school. I quite like it as well. It might seem a little bit chauvinistic, but there's always like a guy. That's like a floor commentator, and he's telling you about, this is welcome to Monte Casino, and we got the slots here, and we'll
oh
check out.
yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
understand. Sorry, just hold on a
Mhm.
second. My power just went out on
Okay.
the light. Second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, and then there's this beautiful lady like standing kind of next to him because they're always like standing next to a car or two cars or like it's kind of the stage, you understand? They always hire models to I mean, if I had to look at the psychoanalysis of putting a very beautiful woman next to a very beautiful car, there's obviously clearly it's worked for many people in the past, you know, like just in terms of not like kind of perving over her, but the thing is that it's just they complement one another. There's an old school kind of like advertising technique within these kind of outside broadcasts within, especially the casino kind of life. You know, they kind of again that old school feel where you got the slot machines running around, and you can almost picture the old ladies with the smokes and cigarettes and stuff like that. Um, slotting away their life and but okay, so that's great that you've actually witnessed it. We don't want to obviously get too messy with it as well because we don't want to completely alienate the listener itself, themselves, because we're not constantly just we want to obviously mention that we're constantly over there because they paying a lot of money for us to be like hosting at their particular, obviously, event or whatever it may be. And so we do have to do a lot of, let's say, promotion, right? At the cross promotion in the station and, like giveaways or whatever it may be. And then again, it's kind of difficult to do like call outs, for example, if it's not really, related to where they are at the moment. So perhaps they might do a feature that they're constantly doing, but they will involve, let's say, someone that is at home. Do you understand? As opposed to putting someone that is part of like they like walking past it. So I'm going to use Monte Casino just for now, just as a reference point to go. So we have that nice balance between obviously the two. The big thing about the outside broadcast is also to be able to piggyback off someone else that's put in a lot of money and a lot of work and effort to put the event together. You understand? And then they welcome you to come and be there. So for example, we have a lot of cons that happen. Again, I say Comic Con only because I was quite surprised that when I did go to the Comic Con, I think it was I mean last year was when it came back. I think it was last year, the many years before COVID. I saw both Metro FM and I saw 947 there. And it was quite odd that for me that they were broadcasting from Comic Con because I didn't at that point believe that the listeners actually cared. You understand? Because it was quite particular in terms of like it's a specific niche and a specific place, and it didn't really kind of connect with the listeners, both of their listeners' lifestyles, directly. But again, that's pop culture. It's not really geek culture, and so
Oh,
maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. I didn't. Obviously, I didn't hear the show. I mean, I was walking around looking at the guests and stuff like that. Okay, so we want to be able to make sure that you see the thing is this comes with a lot of logistical nightmares as well because taking the risk of doing an outside broadcast, we've got to obviously say there's going to be a lot of things that could go wrong. We don't want if we're going to do something that's going to be outside, make sure that obviously we've got like the weather as a risk, because the weather is always something that can be very. I mean, I would do MC events, right? And it would be freezing cold, you understand? And I'd be on stage and it wouldn't make any sense. But it was ice cold. I remember at one particular event where the people weren't crowding around the stage itself because it wasn't a warm day. Again, it was quite ice cold. It actually was at Monte Casino, kind of there in the amphitheater area. And it didn't really work out because the thing is that the organizers of that event didn't and they also were kind of stubborn as well. We kind of had a bit of an argument about this because I was like, let me do like obviously the I say presentation, no, like the entire act. You understand? Let me do that with the
yeah.
people in the crowd. You understand? That are kind of in each of the vendors' shops or whatever it may be, and just broadcast the I mean like obviously broadcast the broadcast out of the speakers, so people can hear it and people can hear some guys going on, some guys speaking to other people, and there's some kind of activity, but they just wouldn't, um and it didn't really work, it didn't work out so well. So I'm saying to you in terms of risk management, like what's got to look at that type of what possibilities are there that could ruin a broadcast. The other thing is technical errors, right? Technical is massive. Like we got to make sure that we have a backup of a backup of a backup of whatever it is that is essential to an outside broadcast to work, right? And for it to work, and for it to be a success, right? So then always offer the listener a chance to see and engage with their favorite personalities, as I've discussed, right? So it's about that one-on-one interaction, even though like you are allowed to go and speak to them. Like they're not the president, which obviously there's safety measures and stuff, and security is obviously an issue because we could have very dangerous people, but also at the same time, yeah, okay, that must be considered within our own broadcast. There are people that are quite mentally unstable and have obsessions with personalities and stuff like that, and so that has to be taken into consideration. But also, again, we can't have listeners interrupting the broadcast itself. So a lot of the interaction is either obviously orchestrated, like I say, we'll want to bring them in for a link, just obviously add to the atmosphere, or it is after the outside broadcast is done. So then the presenters and the team hang around and they will do, let's say, like some obviously some giveaways or whatever it is, and chat to the people, whatever it is, right? Depending on whatever the marketing department has agreed upon with the client is what we will stick to, right? um if the station has decided to broadcast a show from a venue outside of the studio, like they will create a cause to do so, right? So in other words, again, for me, like that is like a client will force you to be outside if it is to, um, like let's say like that amphitheater. Let's say the amphitheater was new, you understand? So they want to create, let's say, an environment and an awareness of how the amphitheater works and what you can do there, and like just that they would place you outside also for a concert, definitely, because you can't broadcast inside a concert, it's too loud, right? They would place you far outside so that you can actually get the broadcast done with it as kind of again an atmospheric background. And so again, we decide obviously whether it's an inside and outside thing. Our inside can also be very very noisy as well and very disruptive, and so on and so forth. So do we create a kind of like a ad hoc booth and a bubble, you understand, for the presenters, and again obviously the desk and whatever it is that they're going to use? Or what do we do from there? For the most part, the format of the show will remain unchanged. The features, the content, and the interaction that the listeners are familiar with are still delivered in the show. Again, what we add to that is whatever the sponsor, do you understand, has decided you must, like, because it's paid for advertising, you must do this, you must be here, you must give away this, etc., etc. But the show will not be disrupted as it is. And again, there must be that balance between like obviously outside and what is at home, quote unquote, for the listener that's listening as well. So the marketing strategy is great. So obviously we want to have a great like a great time with our listener outside, and they want to have a great time with us, even if they spend 5 minutes listening to how we are behaving and stuff. That we got to be on our best guard as well, our best behavior, should I say? And again, kind of like when you do go on stage to introduce, let's say, an act or whatever, you've obviously got to you have a good balance between that kind of very large than life personality, and then obviously just your on-air personality, which doesn't need the screaming and the shouting or whatever it is, and like the give us a hey ho, whatever it is, right? Make some noise. So the show will incorporate interaction, again, as I said, with live audiences that are at the event itself. And then outside broadcasts also have a different sound quality. We know we can hear that there is somewhere else. So again, somewhere else. So again, the thing is, we have the technicians that are, or a sound engineer or a producer that is in studio. Ideally, it should be the producer that is in studio because they know how the show runs. So we don't want to really go and train, or like I say train, but like obviously give training, quick training to, let's say, a sound engineer who could get things wrong, or a technician or whatever it is, or the technician, and let's say the producer should be back in the studio running things, taking callers, obviously, and putting them through voice notes, whatever it may be, right? But we can hear that they are somewhere else because of the again the atmosphere of the noise of whatever it is that they are promoting, wherever they are, festivals, etc., etc. Okay. All right, so OBs are once again, a commercial tool. So while shows are not typical for sale, it is very possible and it's very enticing to sell an OB because the thing is that like most clients do not understand. They do, but they don't understand the extent of how sales actually have an impact on the listener itself. So they are always wary to let's say like sign a contract and let's say do a sell or whatever it may be. Just let this person know. Oh, there's a couple. Give me a second. And that's just dash. Okay. All right. So as I was saying there, let's quickly go back here. Yeah. Um, yeah. So with the clients, they almost they you don't even have to tell them, but they'll be like, okay, if they can see, let's say, my branding, and they can see, let's say I'm giving away, let's say it's a Red Bull, whatever it is, and there's free Red Bulls, and everyone's drinking Red Bull, and everyone's got you've got their representatives, the Red Bull reps like running around, and there's like a Red Bull tent and a Red Bull this and whatever it is. Like it feels as though whoever is attending will grab the concept quite quickly. Do you understand? And if they're promoting, let's say, their new flavors, like they've released about, let's say, 3 or 4 new flavors, like that would be the reasoning to kind of also like piggyback on the outside broadcast to really push the sales and the awareness of that. But then they wouldn't, like, no one's going to go out of the way for a free Red Bull. They'd grab one definitely because I mean free stuff is free stuff, right? But they won't really say, like I'm in love with Red Bull. We have to obviously create like a listener experience, and obviously in this case, it's a customer experience to make them. We're going to put a little bit of a show on as well. Red Bull would want to give away a car or an experience or again money, that type of stuff, and have it be ongoing throughout the outside broadcast for it to actually land quite well with obviously whatever audience is there. The brand essentially buys the opportunity to have the shows broadcast from a venue of their choice. This allows the brand to have their radio campaigns further integrated. Once again, like I say, it just becomes stronger. It becomes like very much in your face. It is because it's right there. And you can't but deny, like it's a hot day and you're going to go sit under, like I say, the Red Bull tent. You understand? It just the whole thing about advertising is about that kind of like what is it? I want to say subconscious advertising, subconscious play. So the more that it sits in the back of our head is the more likely it'll pop up when we want like whatever it provides. So for example, let's say now I want an energy drink. The last thing on my mind is a Red Bull, and not because I'm completely like what's the word I'm looking for? Mind controlled by them. But the things I'd say, oh no, I tasted like the new, let's say, whatever the green flavor is and the red flavor, and now I like it. I think I'm gonna go buy that, and it was worth it. It's worth the $20 or whatever it may be, right? So these obviously outside broadcasts cost a lot of money. They could cost a lot of money just in terms of from our side, like we might again because of the technical nature of it. Um, will be like quite a big risk cost, okay, or cost risk. But it's actually like if further than that, everything else is for free. You understand? Like we don't prepay for anything else, just for our own for like our own equipment to be go to obviously we have to go obviously like go and make sure and obviously I'm not saying like it's new or it's functional and doing let's say whatever services on it, so to make sure that when we get there, that we're not sitting with failing non-tested equipment. There's obviously backup, obviously in terms of money to be able to be spent on the stuff that essentially can make it fail and fall to the floor. Okay. All right, so the OB can benefit listeners who are not present. Again, the content from the OB is very valuable. It's still only media promotion on a branding. It's not designed to be the main attraction. So that's what I'm saying to you. Like I said before, like it's good to be there and it's cool to listen to them and stuff. But if they're constantly are talking about the event, this and that, and that's it starts to alienate the listener on the other side, and they also start to get a bit bored because I mean I'm not there, like, and I don't want to know every detail. There's a reason why I also couldn't be there. It might be work, it might be I'm not close to the event, maybe it's not the event that I actually would like to actually attend. There's so many reasons. So we don't have to put too much focus on in case the listener that is listening has a bit of a bit of a far-fetched issue and could tune out and find it quite irritating to listen to. So just a snapshot from your textbook. So let's just look at those six aspects there. The reason, what benefit does the OB give to the station and the brand and the listener? So let me. So again, we for us to actually go through with it, we've got to now we've got to quantify and qualitate in terms of a quality and a quantity measure whether it's worth it at all, you know? Like, could we do the same thing back at the studio? Could we do it with, let's say, roaming reporters, or like, in other words, so people that are at the event and they could give us like a little bit of the touch and the feel of it? Like, is it necessary to actually go to all the trouble and to put up the risk and whatever it is of having quite a poor the risk is the poor broadcast because of the quality that could be compromised and stuff. The time, the place is very important. As I said, you got to go and do like a recon. So like in television, you have to do a recon for where you're going to go and shoot, right? So when you do the recon, you got to see like, okay, well the building that building's there, like this grass is here, or there is no grass there. We need some grass or whatever it may be, or we need something that is less dustier or outside or whatever it is. I don't know, right? But you do the recon to see whether or not like there is like it's not going to be again a problem. Let me just accept who this is. Uh, All right, so as I was saying, so again, with time and place, very important. Also, remember the time is a big implication to it because, like, we want something like on the weekend, essentially, or a Friday evening, or a public holiday, like we're going to get tomorrow. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we want that type of thing where we know the people are going to be there, and otherwise, you must do an outside broadcast like in the middle of traffic otherwise, because everyone's going to work or they are at work or whatever it may be, right? Listen experience. So within obviously the broadcast, as I explained before, there has to be some the aspects that we do within the show must both engage the people that are there and also the listeners that are listening at home. The advertising is again paid for, distributed to the listener to attract them to the event. Yes and no, because then again, like a gig guide is cool. Let's say when you listen to community radio will do gig guides. They'll do them quite like on a Friday, definitely. Um, I'll do it quite early on. Let's say like let's about 2 or 3 p.m. Where they will tell you, okay, like tonight you can go to this bar in this club or this whatever it is, and this exhibition is happening or whatever it may be, and tomorrow this and that, whatever it is, so that you have some time to kind of plan your weekend as well. It's very unlikely that that someone is going to go to the event just because you are there or something is happening at that moment, unless it is long. It has a long duration. In other words, it's let's say a Monday to a Saturday thing, Monday to Sunday thing, Wednesday to Sunday, Wednesday to Saturday, doesn't matter, right? So then they'll get a little bit like the I think that it's called the Rand Easter Show. I've never been. I hear it's pretty cool. Um, I think it's the Rand. Is it the Rand Easter show? No, it's not the Easter anymore. It's a Rand show, right? Anyway, point is like for example, like there's rides, and it's a very kind of a legacy event, that's held or held in Joburg for like it's been decades that things happened, and that happens for at least I think it's about 4 days. So people know, oh, that sounds cool. Obviously, the broadcast will bring in the atmosphere, bring in obviously attention to like like the really cool like new stuff that's happening there, and what they want to focus on. and so on and so forth. Okay, anyway, let me not talk too long about it. Technical needs. Okay, can the proposed venue accommodate the technical needs of the show? Like we said there, it's an outside broadcast. How do our ISDN lines work? Is there, like, just, is there places to plug stuff in? You understand? Like, we have load shedding uh, as a constant. So, like, we have to bring that in. Do we have to bring a generator? Can we do that? Can we place it there? Is it going to obviously make too much noise? That type of stuff. Like, so we'd have to obviously have, again, a very practical, pragmatic layout and approach to the outside broadcast itself. And then the preparation is very, it's key. Like, just pretty much everything else is on, but I don't want to put too much of an extreme focus on the preparation. Like, it is the most important thing, but preparation really is indicative of every aspect that we've just discussed as well. But the DJs really have to know what is going on and when it's happening and how they're going to do it and why they're doing it, right? Otherwise, it's going to create a big fat mess. We're going to have a big fat problem, right? Okay. So when a radio station can't do an OB, the studio may suggest a good crossing, just like I've said in just a little earlier in the lesson, where it's cheaper, no money is spent. We have a couple of people that are there. They station ambassadors. They could be journalists from our news team. They could be members from our show. They could be whatever it is. Like, we can have people there that are recording also for social media. They are recording videos for, like, let's say, YouTube. I know I said social media, but YouTube is, again, that exception to um, again, like, the category, right? Because it's a bit of a different type of social media, right? So, like, we could be recording stuff and getting stuff, and again, crossing over. As I explained to you before, I've mentioned this before, that, like, when the World Cup was here, the station sent me to nine, so to obviously 9 provinces, or, well, 9 cities in the, I don't know how many provinces we have, right? And the thing is that I would have to go, and the thing is that I would have to do, like, a crossing over in the breakfast, in the lunch, and in the drive. You understand? So there would, but I would have to then make sure that while I was there, also go find the stories, go make sure that I could record, let's say, stuff that would go on, obviously, on terms of, like, our YouTube channels and stuff like that. Make sure that it could be extracted in terms of audio to be set as, obviously, like, pre-recorded interviews or whatever that other shows would use. And then I would do the live crossings as well. But with the live crossings, like, I couldn't just be anywhere. I had to be somewhere to say, like, I am at this particular pub, or I am at whatever, because it was more of a fan. It was a fan focused thing. So I was never at a soccer game. I didn't want to be either. Like, it was much more fun to be part of the crowds as well that were watching, and there was so much happening outside the stadiums. It was such a fun experience. But again, the crossings, like I say, a lot cheaper, but they still, like, for example, that I mean, for me to go to 9 different cities, they had to pay for hotel, they had to pay for food, they had to pay for petrol, they had to pay for this, they had to pay for that, they had to pay for everything, because nothing was come out of my pocket as well, or the station's pocket. So, the sponsor at that point would take care of that as part of, like, their sponsorship, that would happen online as well, digital, etc., right? And back in 2010, we literally, like, because the thing is that they pushed for Twitter, because Twitter literally was released a moment just before the World Cup had actually begun, and so we had to push the use of Twitter, and kind of, like, bring their kind of presence on there. And people did not know. I did not know what to do on Twitter. No one knew what to do on Twitter. So anyway, it was a ball. So crossings, again, are valuable options for a busy event where a station wants to capture lots of content. So again, super easy. Like I just said to you now, it just takes a presenter that's dedicated at the end of the day to say, like, look, cool, like, I want to speak to you. Can I speak to you? I'll obviously pre-prep them, and then say to them, okay, I'll be back, let's say, in 15 minutes time, and then we can obviously have the conversation live on air, whatever it is, depending on what it is that the station requires, right? So when a station agrees to the crossing, some of the parameters involved in doing an OB, uh, that might be a situation, like, we might have part of the entire I say outside experience, right? We might have part of it, be an OB and the rest crossings, or again, kind of like I say, a mix and match of both. All right. The most prominent of these is listener relevance. Program managers are interested in knowing how the content from the event will provide value to the listeners, right? Again, if it's just about, let's say, awareness, then we have a lot of those cancer-thons, those where you shave your head off, or you obviously donate hair and whatever it may be. That happens yearly, so it's seasonal. We look at seasonal content and seasonal opportunities for us to be able to just go to. It doesn't cost a lot. Again, like I said in the beginning, we piggyback most of the time on someone else's efforts and finance, whatever it is, and we come because they want the exposure, so they will definitely welcome us in there. Maybe not for free, but they will give us like it at a much lower cost than we would pay for if we were handling it ourselves, right? I'm saying the entire event. Okay. Um, okay. So let's quickly turn to page 350. Take the textbooks out. 350. Use the figure. Okay, and plan an outside broadcast use as a commercial tool. So anyway, like let me just go back to it. It's this one here. So it's this figure here. In terms of planning an outside broadcast, it's a large question to. I mean, it's a large scope for me to tell you go ahead and do, right? So I want you to let's try and measure it down to something. Once again, I know you're very bored of it, but like to take it back to the campus, just because the scale is so small. Do you understand? Yesterday, one of the journalists was saying to me that we should really incorporate an open day. Do you understand? Like where the students can actually showcase their different talents, right? I'm saying to you, so from obviously our graphic designers, our animators, whatever it is, all the way to our radio broadcasters and everyone in between. And what we do is obviously, again, what is like a showcase day, like a show day like that, actually constitute. We want to invite people from the industries, different industries to come and see the work that let's say the students do. Okay. So I want you to use that setting, an open day. Like so the open days would happen quite regularly because we want to be able to give as many students as we can the opportunity to be showcased, but not all students, definitely not, will be showcased at each event. I'm saying so because it's just we want to be able to pick, let's say, like 2 or 3 students from each cohort, right? Okay, like I say, like journalism, there must be there, like I say, video must be there, radio must be there, animation must be there, etc., etc. And then we invite, let's say, people that can actually hire you and give you a job. So that's actually what we did, and they did for. I mean, we had to do that in third year when I was studying my degree, and people did, and the people from the industries did come, and they did hire us. That's the thing. I mean, my one of my 2 best friends, like she was chosen like above all of us for one of the biggest companies. We were super happy for her, but it was and it was from again because they interview you on the spot. They kind of interview and then they will sub interview. So a couple of us also went for like the next, like obviously the final stage of it. But she got it. We were super happy for it. And so and that came from showcasing talent and stuff. In that case, in that instance, we were showcasing the system we had developed, particularly for schools, and they were quite impressed and stuff. Okay, so I want you to take. So I need you to take like a good half hour to do this. So you will take all the 6 aspects. Okay, so reason, time and place, listener experience, advertising, technical needs, and preparation. All right, and I want you to do at least 3 points. Just well, do 3 points on each of that will allow you, for example, let's say I'm going to give you one for a couple of them. Let's say for the reason is to bring, let's say, people from the outside, expert professionals and companies and whatever it is to come and see the best of the best of what, let's say, Boston can offer, right? Let's say, time and place, like a great time to do that is, let's say, once a month. If you choose, so I'm not saying, I'm not dictating to you. I would say once a month is cool, so that we can have a couple of them, like let's say about 6. Because our calendar is quite small, our academic calendar is quite small, so we're gonna have 6 of them a year. The listener experience will build that into BMH radio as well, and definitely have, for example, other students that are busy listening. I'm saying our BMH students that are listening to the radio will have the crossovers to some of the experts that are, I'm saying the experts and the people that are being showcased with one of our obviously ground jocks and the people that are down there. I'm saying in between and around, right? Chatting to the different people. Just give me a second. Let's drink some water. Okay. Advertising, it's a really good. So for example, like we would look at, let's say, like if you want to use some advertising, I would definitely go to, let's say, job sites or job recruitment centers or whatever it may be. Like that for me is obviously the obvious one to link to this, but we can also like try and think of something quite like original, whatever, and fun, like and bring in let's say like our train or whatever it is, and bring in, let's say, like a link to growth and movement and to the next step, and using the car train to get quicker to where you want to be in life, type thing. Technical needs and preparation. Do you all understand what you need to do for me? So let's say we'll reconvene. I mean, I'm not going to switch it off. I'm going to stop the recording. But we're going to reconvene at 7:15. Non Pomelo. You good?
Yeah, noted.
You understand? Bash, do you understand?
Sorry, Chris, just to play it back at you. You want us to create, you want us to plan
Yes, with these
for
6
an
things.
outside broadcast. Am I
Yes, that's right.
correct?
Yeah, with these 6 aspects.
Yes,
So
yes.
three things under each one of these aspects for this outside broadcast, like I say, the showcase day. You understand?
Yes,
Yeah, tell me
yes.
more. Yeah, ask me. Yeah, you were saying?
No, I just wanted to
Make
play
sure.
it back at you to make sure that I understand.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Simpiwe, yeah?
Hi, Chris. I
Hello.
just joined. I don't know, but I'll give it a try.
Yes, please
Even
do.
though also, yeah, even though
Yeah.
also my battery is like 30%. I forgot to charge it at work, and then I've
Okay.
got load shedding at home. So let me
We'll
see
give
how
it.
far I can go,
Yeah,
and then we'll
just
take it from
just
there.
go to your just go to your battery power and put on battery saving. Is it on battery saving? So you
Yeah, it is. It is on
okay.
battery saving
All right,
already.
well, do what you can and stick around for as long as
Yeah,
you
sure.
can.
Yeah,
I
sure.
would at this point I would log for you, just log off and go to flight mode for the moment. You understand, and come back
Hmm.
on. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Okay, I'll speak to you at 15:15. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.